believe it or not, my take on this isn't going to be about Miss Marvel and whether or not she's trash. You already know my feelings about the actual character of Kamala Khan, but as to be expected and anticipated, she was going to be brought back. I said that. I wasn't the only person that said that, but I told y'all with that whole death of Miss Marvel, that was not a thing that was going to be permanent, which is hilarious because they did make a variant that looks akin to the great graphic novel, The Death of Captain Marvel. And it has Miss Marvel there. And Captain Marvel's one of the few, the actual Captain Marvel, was one of the few deaths that Marvel kept permanent. We knew that they weren't doing this with that character. It was far too obvious, even considering that they had a show about her, and they plan to continue. She's coming up in the Marvels, even though they were too chicken crap to actually give her the Stretchy McGee powers that she generally has. Still, they were not going to kill this character off permanently. That was only going to be a temporary thing. Either way, it got announced the other day that another Miss Marvel book is coming out, and it's going to be wrote by the actress that plays her in the TV show or Disney Plus show. And she says this was scarier than joining the MCU for me. Those projects feel like they live in their own dimension, which confirms everything it is that I've ever said. It's a free-for-all. So I guess I can separate myself easier, but you can hold a comic book. Now, this is an interesting thing. I've never written anything before in my entire life, but I have read many comics, so I just wrote what I would want to read. Not a bad approach. I was given a very professional tool to write what is essentially my own fan fiction. Look, Marvel and DC, the big two, they do not take themselves very seriously. Okay? And what I mean by that is that they have, over the years, got people to be a part of these projects, that are part of Hollywood. Even some of the writers, it seems like they're writing rejected movie scripts. They're not really comic book folk, but they kind of enter in that space because it's a way for them to kind of, again, write their little fan fictions. And look, it is what it is. It'd be one thing, I think, if it were, let's say, people that are interested in the medium, because I think people have a level of expectation with Marvels and DCs, these established channels with established brands, to basically be the cream of the crop. And that's not what it is they pull from. Certainly as of recent, that a lot of these people, they couldn't do anything by themselves unless they were using someone else's property. That's just how it is. And again, no harm, no foul. There's nothing. They are free to do whatever it is that they certainly want to do. But I'm just showing you that this is a company that doesn't take itself serious. So you see it not only in the fact that they brought her on to write this, but you also see it in this whole death as a gimmick. It says about her sacrificing herself. The upcoming comic is titled Miss Marvel, the New Mutant, a nod to the revelation in the comic books as well as the MCU TV show that Kamala Khan is in fact a mutant. So doubt that. They're probably, because she does say something later. She says, I want to make it very, very clear that we're not retconning her Inhuman story. That's a part of Kamala's identity that Marvel editorial and myself would very much like to keep and protect. Our book will absolutely reflect all those core themes of identity that the Miss Marvel comics have consistently explored. Only now there's a whole new label that Kamala has to learn to accept. It's going to be pretty crazy. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. Here's her X-Men suit. You guys can check out there. But, yeah, look, I told y'all before that this was not going to be something that was permanent. But, yeah, I have to bring up the Riververse because Death as a gimmick is not new to Marvel. They used to do these Death of comics. You knew they weren't going to make it permanent. It's just what it is. Hey, if we could, how do we boost some sales? Let's kill off a character. That's just kind of what the comic book industry used to be. But I do think that has a level of turnoff with actual long-time readers. And even more so, the more ridiculous that the company, like the Marvels or DCs of the world, they get, the more, to me, customers that they turn off. Because the element of continuity and element of canon and events really mattering. If you wanted to use the excuse that, well, these characters have existed for several decades, So it's difficult which I disagree, but you can't use that with Miss Marvel because Miss Marvel wasn't created that long ago. But you see what it is that I'm saying, where if I'm a reader, a longtime reader, and they do stuff like this, it's predictable, what incentive do I have to even read that book? Seriously. Like, you're a customer, you're paying the customer. What incentive do you have to read the book when you know the events? There's no anticipation there. You just know that it's going to be overturned, or something's going to happen that's going to make it not to matter, right? So they do this death of, and now they're hyping up this next big book. So even if it was told before the timeline or after, long after, different reality, Miss Marvel, no matter what it is you call yourself, you're essentially, that immersion is gone, right? Nobody's like looking at that and like, oh, well, this was something that was tragic and something that should have mattered because you're promoting a book that's about to come out that she's the center of. So no matter how you word that, it's the same thing. If you're creative, I think this is the part that you have to take serious. Stop doing stuff for comics Twitter. Stop doing stuff for non-readers, people who pirate, people who only will screenshot a certain element and then hype it up on social media. It's not anything that they're genuinely interested in, if they even buy it, or if they read it for that matter. It's not anything that they're interested in, but your longtime readers are the people that you have to take into consideration as you're reading, which is why I say you don't write for only the now. If you're writing comic books and expansive worlds and universes, you have to write for the 5, for the 10, for the 15 years down the line. And your customers will thank you for it because, well, as an example, if you buy ISOM 2, doesn't matter. Every book that you get is real. It happened, and those events aren't going to be retconned out of existence. The term retcon has now been used to basically mean just doing stuff that is antithetical to what is the core of the character and fundamental changes. I like retcon in a traditional sense where it's more of, hey, you're introducing something new that maybe changes the perspective from the audience and the reader, but not something that is just fundamentally changing what's happening, or overdoing certain events and all that. Like, that's what people are leaning on too much. But your longtime readers, I'm telling you, this is a business. Your longtime readers care about this type of stuff. And the more that you do ridiculous, no matter if it's uber hyped up, it looks cool, people are talking about it for the momentary, that's not anything that's going to stick. It never has, and it never will. It's just some hype beast stuff, and again, I guess it's cool for the now. But you're telling the audience to buy a book if that's something that you care about. That doesn't matter. Where you don't take it serious, the writers don't take it serious, the editors don't take it serious, and I'm saying editors from like, hey, is this in line with the vision of who this character is? They don't take it seriously. So why would you expect the customers to take it serious? That's the thing that I think gets slept on the most when it comes to comic book related material. Your customers care about this stuff, and they can pick up on if you don't care about it at all. If you like this video and want to get into a new comic book universe, visit Rippaverse.com. Our first campaign for ISOM 1 hit $3.7 million, and the pre-order campaign for ISOM 2 is currently live. So go check it out and watch the official launch trailer, which is the first animation of Rippaverse Studios.